जोशील अंकल से हाय हाय
Hello.
हाय देखो तुमको हाय बोल रहे
Hello.
no they are live I think so we'll
Yeah.
be live
Yeah.
hello Jai Bhim and welcome everyone. Today we have Dr. Joshil to discuss about youths, and we have one more youth who also actually wants to be live. I am so sorry for his this thing. So today we'll be talking about positioning youth um, in the current scenario in the context of clarion call of Dr. Ambedkar, educate, organize, and agitate. So while doing this, we thought that who would be the most appropriate person to do that. So we thought of a young Ambedkarite who can discuss about this and have been working in the field of academia, and that too in Delhi capital. It would be a better opportunity to discuss with him about what he has been observing and being part of. So we have Dr. Joshil Abraham to discuss about this topic. So before we start, I just want to give brief introduction about Joshil. So Joshil is right now working as a principal content manager in Cornerstone on demand. He says he was assistant professor at GB Pant Engineering College, Indraprasth University, Delhi from 2014 to October 2021. He completed his master's in English literature from Pondicherry Central University, India, and I have taught in college in Kerala, Delhi. He has worked as research assistant in Department of Cinema Studies, School of Art and Ethics, JNU, and he presented his paper in international conference in UK and in France as part of Arts and Humanitarian Council. So, and he also written a book and chapter on the caste and cinema. So, without taking much time and with lot of disturbances from my young Ambedkarite, I would ask Joshil to please go ahead and start a discussion on this. Joshil, please.
Thank you, Dada Sahib. Jai Bhim to everybody. So, uh, I really thank Meena for giving this opportunity to talk in Muknaik. Uh, it's indeed an honor to kind of be here and talk on this auspicious day, which is Ambedkar Jayanti, and that too in a channel which is named after what Ambedkar himself had started in the early part of his career. Muk Naik, this name that she has taken for her channel. So I'm going to discuss today the clarion call that Ambedkar had given to the youth of the country, which is educate, agitate, organize. So I'm trying to contextualize this, and I'll be trying to understand the three parts of this clarion call that is there: educate, agitate, and organize through the contemporary scenario which the youth of Delhi and the youth of India are going through, both in terms of education and in terms of politics. So that is what I'm trying to discuss. So, मीना जी, can you put the first photograph? वो पहले वाला photograph डाल सकते हैं? That picture that is there on the screen. Yes. So this is a message that had come on one of the WhatsApp groups uh, from one of my former colleagues, a Brahmin colleague in GB Pant Government Engineering College. So he had sent this message saying that message on the group, and it read, "We are because he was, wishing all happy Ambedkar Jayanti." Now, I would like to kind of break this caption that he has sent into a structural analysis of it, actually. So, who are this we here? I mean, as he sent it, I would like to say that we, the Brahmins, are, right? And that is in the present tense, as you see, when we take language. Are is the present tense. And where has he placed Ambedkar? He was, right? So Ambedkar was. We are because Ambedkar was. But a true Ambedkarite, I guess, if we say, we would say that we are because he is, because he's not was actually. Ambedkar still is actually. So there is a problem when an Ambedkarite kind of addresses something and a Brahmin addresses something else. So I guess it is important for us to know how language functions, and hence the necessity to play with language and understand language in its thoroughness actually. So that would be something that I would discuss as it goes by, as part of the first part, which is educate actually, and how we can structure our education in such a manner that we can take over the world with the grammar and the language that we use. So I'll come to that later. Can we go into the second slide, Minaji? Second photograph. Yeah, so here is a tweet by the Delhi CM, which was tweeted a few hours earlier. And he says, I am a big bhakt of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar since childhood. I have read about his life and thought many times. We have made education about Baba Sahib compulsory in schools. I have resolved to ensure that Baba Sahib's message reaches every household. So this is a tweet that was sent out by Arvind Kejriwal today. Now, can we put the third photograph, Minaji? I'll contextualize why I'm telling this tweet. This is an institute we call Ambedkar Institute of Doctor of Technology, which is located in Gita Colony. It is one of the government engineering colleges which was started in 2001. I happened to teach in this college for 2 years from 2009 to 11. So it's named Ambedkar Institute of Technology, as you would see from this board that is there. And it's right in the central part of Delhi. It's in Gita Colony in Delhi, in East Delhi. Can we put the next slide, please? Yes. So you can see in the next slide that this college, which was called Ambedkar Institute of Technology, has been changed by Arvind Kejriwal in 2020. And now it is renamed as Netaji Subhash University of Technology, East Campus. And you can see in brackets, it's formerly Ambedkar Institute of Advanced Communication Technologies and Research. So the point I'm trying to bring in here is, I'd start with the political point, because on one side, Arvind Kejriwal tweets that he's a bhakt of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar since childhood, and he believes in kind of propagating his ideas. But in the pandemic in 2020, he renamed a college which was in Ambedkar's name and converted into Netaji Subhash University of Technology. So one can see the hypocrisy that is here at play. Not only did he rename the name of the college from Netaji Subhash University of Technology to Ambedkar Institute of Technology to Netaji Subhash University of Technology, he also increased the fees of the college from 38,000 to almost 2 lakh rupees. It's almost a five-fold increase. So on one hand, he takes away the name that we kind of fondly revere, which is the name of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And also, he made the education impossible for students like me and you, who would not be able to pay this hefty fees of 2 lakh rupees. So one has to kind of understand how the politics of caste works in India, in Delhi, in the realms of a person called Arvind Kejriwal, who believes himself as a Bhakt. So one has to see the first tweet that is there by the Brahmin colleague of mine, where I said that we are because he was. So they have relegated him into the past, that Brahmin colleague of mine. Similarly, Arvind Kejriwal, who is a Baniya, also has relegated Baba Sahib Ambedkar into the past. He doesn't want the name of Baba Sahib Ambedkar anywhere. He wants the college to be renamed into Netaji Subhash University of Technology. But wherever it's possible, he'll try to take mileage out of it. That is the politics that is running around. And it is important for us to kind of understand this politics. And I guess we have to take the clarion call that Ambedkar had taken at that time. Educate, organize. Now we have to organize and we have to agitate so that we bring back the name of Ambedkar for this college. So through this medium, I would also urge everybody to think about it, and we should start a movement where we ask Arvind Kejriwal, who perpetually says that he is a Bhakt of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, tell him that हमें अपना अम्बेडकर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी वापस चाहिए, हमें नेताजी सुभाष यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं चाहिए, और हमें 38,000 का फीस नहीं चाहिए, हमें 2 लाख का फीस नहीं चाहिए, हमें 38,000 का फीस चाहिए. So that is the first, but I'll come into that later in more detail. Now, coming into the next question that had raised of education, we'll start from there, where we said that that Brahmin colleague's quote, which said that we are because he was. So it shows how important language is in our everyday life. So I have an idea that I want to share to the youth of this country now in terms of language. हम लोग जब भी कोई भी बात करते हैं, कोई भी चीज़ पढ़ाते हैं, लैंग्वेज का एक बहुत बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंस होता है उसमें. लैंग्वेज इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर इन दैट. फॉर इंस्टेंस, अगर हम लोग ग्रामर पढ़ा रहे हैं, फॉर इंस्टेंस, तो in grammar, we can see that whenever we teach grammar, I am an English teacher. So when I go into the classroom and ask the students, give me an example for a simple present tense. So immediately the student will give an answer. The sun rises in the east. Or he or she would say, we play football. Right. So that's one thing that would be given as an answer. Now, let's say if the teacher gives a different kind of example. For instance, let's say Dalits play football is a sentence that is given. Or let's say an example for simple present tense is the country celebrates Ambedkar Jayanti on 14th April. If that is the example that is given, even in Hindi, if an example for simple present is given as like, no, हम अंबेडकर जयंती 14 अप्रैल को मनाते हैं. So that will completely change the way the society behaves, actually, if we have such examples that come in. To put it more further, like we teach passive voice and active voice in the class. You all would be aware, passive voice and active voice we teach in the class. The example that we give to teach passive voice, most of the teachers in the classroom, is Ram killed a snake. And the passive voice would be a snake was killed by Ram. Let's say this is altered. And instead of this, the example that is given is Ambedkar drafted the Constitution of India. That's the active voice. And the passive voice becomes the Constitution of India was drafted by Ambedkar. Let's say if we have such kind of innumerable number of examples in the classroom, then it will automatically get ingrained into your system that we will start learning anti-caste things while we learn language or while we learn other subjects. We will get anti-caste things cropping up onto our brain. We can say that untouchability was abolished by the Constitution, if that is an example given, instead of we saying that Ram killed a snake. So it will make a significant difference. So I'm making a clarion call here that we should make a textbook where we have such kind of examples. Let's kind of create our own textbook, a grammar book, which has got all these kind of anti-caste examples given in that. And whoever teaches can use this textbook to teach instead of the conventional textbook that we get in our schools, which talks about different other things, which is to propagate the upper caste mentality, which is to propagate the Brahminical mentality. So we have to kind of create our own textbook. हमें अपना textbook बनाना होगा जिसमें पूरे के पूरे examples होंगे जो anti-caste perspective से दिया गया होगा. So we all should kind of know today, try to think about that idea. That is one idea that I'm kind of putting forward. Let's create a grammar book which allows anti-caste examples. Also, let's kind of create books which create anti-caste examples which can be used in the classroom instead of upper caste examples. So that will make a significant change in the fabric of the society. And Ambedkar's vision of we getting educated, and educated in the sense that we get educated in an anti-caste manner, right? Not in a pro-caste manner. And that's what Ambedkar dreamt of, what Ambedkar wanted always. He said that social democracy, if social democracy doesn't exist, then political democracy cannot survive. And social democracy can happen only by anti-caste movements, by demolishing caste from its roots, actually. And it's an idea that I would like to propagate. We can probably discuss further about this idea that I want, that I wish to kind of talk about. Now, coming back into the other issue, other 2 points, that is organize and agitate. So it's very important for us. Ambedkar had positioned it very clearly. He said that we have to educate. We should not stop there. We should agitate. We should organize. And what do we have here to agitate now? Like we have issues at hand. I've seen by being a teacher in the Delhi government colleges for the past almost more than 10 years, I've seen how Dalit students, SCST students, or OBC students are, or minority students are completely suppressed by the system. A simple example would be there is something called scheduled cost sub plan, which says that 50% of the budget of the college or any institution should be kept for the betterment of the students who belong to the SC community. But do they do it? When I went in my college with a file, the accounts officer didn't allow me to go forward with it. I managed to get somebody else to kind of know to push the accounts officer to sign it. That was done. Then it was taken to the administration in the office called Department of Training and Technical Education. There, what happened is the upper caste lobby that is there, they stopped the file. So ultimately, they made sure that they don't allow this to happen. Though it's kind of mandated in our constitution, it's mandated in the rules and regulations that we've got, but they don't allow to do it. And now we see that somebody like Arvind Kejriwal, who claims himself to be a Bhakt, in the dire time of the pandemic, renamed a college which was in the name of Ambedkar into a college which is now in the name of Netaji Subhash University of Technology. He can have Netaji Subhash University of Technologies across the state, across the country. Nobody objects to that. But why should he remove Ambedkar Institute of Technology and then replace it with Netaji Subhash University of Technology is a question that we have to ask. That is a मूल question. ये मूल question जो है, इन्होंने अंबेडकर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी को बदल के, वो भी पैंडेमिक के टाइम पे बगैर किसी को बताए, क्यों इसको नेताजी सुभाष यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी बना दिया? उनको करना ही था तो नेताजी सुभाष यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी 3-4 और बना लेते, कोई दिक्कत नहीं था. लेकिन अंबेडकर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी को क्यों बदला? सो हियर वी हैव टू एजिटेट, वी हैव टू कम ऑन टू द स्ट्रीट्स एंड save the college that is in the name of Ambedkar, because that is a place which gives us the pride, the pleasure to study, to teach, because Ambedkar in that ways is a guiding force for us. So it's important for us to get it back. वो वापस लाना हमारे लिए बहुत जरूरी है. उसके लिए हमें ऑर्गेनाइज करना पड़ेगा. एंड हमें ये जो फीस स्ट्रक्चर जो हमारे लिए अभी बिल्कुल ही जायज नहीं है, विच इज 38,000 से जो 2 लाख कर दिया है, उसको भी वापस लाना है. हमें केजरीवाल साहब को बोलना है कि अंबेडकर का नाम का कॉलेज वापस लाना है और उसका फीस जो पुराना था उसी को वापस लाना है. दैट इज वन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग दैट आई वुड like to put forward. So these are two ideas. जब हम लोग ये वापस ला लेते हैं, then we can implement the idea that I am telling, that we should have anti-caste examples that should be there when we teach in the classroom. So we should have multiple spaces where we can enter, number one. So we have to organize to make those spaces possible. And un spaces mein we have to propagate anti-caste ideas so that we can take forward this message that Baba Sahib Ambedkar gave, which is to educate, agitate, and organize. So, having said that, I would like to ask Dada Sahib to come in so that we can have more discussions than me going on a monologue, because discussions would be more fruitful than kind of having a monologue. So, yeah.
Thank you, Joshil, for sharing this very important information and critically looking it from the Ambedkar perspective. I feel this is one of the case study in the current scenario of Indian education going, like privatizing Indian education. And when they privatize Indian education, the first thing which is going to come is like we are going to be structurally excluded from educating ourselves.
Yes.
And I feel this is a very significant time to discuss about this, and like educate not in universities but outside universities, to enter universities or higher schools of education. So as you rightly mentioned, like political democracy without social democracy has no meaning or no value. And on his last speech on 26th January 1950, Baba Sahib spoke exactly about same thing. So so now, like I want you to like shed some light on like how privatization of education is going to like deepen the existing inequities, and which like it will have two implications. One, it will give fuel to agitate or organize people who have understood the clarion call. Second, which will divide and create more divisions among the oppressed or divided, which should be very easy for the current political atmosphere of any nation like India, and especially like country like India, which has like deepen religious and all kind of inequities existing in India. So like where do you see like current scenarios looking at India? Where do you see like privatization is going to fuel the agitation and organization of the communities, or it is going to divide or break them more in future?
I believe privatization is definitely going to divide the country further. The reason why I think that is, if we take it historically, like the school education for that matter, earlier we had government schools which were supposedly very good in the earlier times, and then suddenly they attacked the government school system and encouraged privatization of government schools. Now we can see that we have most of the uh, government schools being kind of made into shambles, and a lot of great private schools coming in. So the Brahmin teachers who teach in the government schools, they would send their kids to the private schools actually, and we would be left to study in the government schools with the Brahmin teachers teaching there who are not interested in educating. They are only interested in their salaries actually. So I guess the privatization of schools that happened really hampered the way we have learned actually. And similarly, higher education getting privatized would further hamper the possibilities uh, of us getting into the educational system. Reason being that it's many times we have this kind of common phrase here, like in movies and so on. If we take examples, it is said that a poor Brahmin is uh, he managed to study despite of his odds. But it is never said that a poor Dalit managed to study. Why is that poor only for the Brahmin actually? It is understood that a Dalit will be poor actually. That's the thing, right? So when a Brahmin becomes poor, it becomes news. When a Dalit is there, it's like, no, I mean, it's understood that, no, I mean, he or she would be poor, he or she would not have the resources to come forward, right? So hence, it is necessary that we should have things in the public sector, and we should have that affirmative action in place actually. If that is not there, then what will happen is, in the private universities there will be no reservations, for instance. There will be no seats for Dalits. They'll say that, no, quote unquote, merit. Now what does merit mean? Merit means that you bring 10 lakh rupees to study an engineering degree, or for a bachelor's degree of arts, the merit means that if you have to go to, say, OP Jindal University, you have to spend 30 lakh rupees. Now, who has got this 30 lakh rupees to reach there? It's true that now probably from our community also we have people who can afford that, but they are again a few minuscule actually. They're not a large number. The large number still remains who cannot afford it. Now, when this goes further, and say for instance, in if somebody has to take admission in this newly formed Netaji Subhash University of Technology, which was earlier Ambedkar Institute of Technology, that person has to pay 2 lakh rupees per year. Whereas earlier the person had to pay only 38,000 rupees because it was a government college. Now, will an low caste student be able to study in Netaji Subhash University of Technology? No. It's a straightforward no. Very few might be able to, but most of them would not be able to. And what it is going to eventually do is that we'll have a set of Brahmins coming out of all these big institutions. So that is going to tear apart the social fabric. So the social democracy that Ambedkar had talked about is never going to come if that happens. There will be political democracy, but there will be no social democracy, because there is no ways for an interaction possible, because we cannot enter even. Even after entering, it becomes difficult. We know in the schools and colleges, it's difficult to survive because of the casteism that exists. But if you are stopping it at the entry level itself, then I mean that's the done deal actually. Then the society is going to completely get into crisis. And in the present mode, that is what is happening, whether it's from the central government or from the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi. What they're doing structurally is to make sure that people who are from the downtrodden in the classes or castes not to enter the mainstream education or other scenarios, so that they can rule easily. Because if we come forward, we'll ask questions like Ambedkar asked. So they don't want us to enter at all. And those who are allowed to enter would be only who have got money to enter. And once they enter, they'll feel that I have paid so much of money, now I have to get this money back, so let me keep quiet. So only a person who gets into the education free of cost would be able to make questions, because I mean I don't have anything to lose. But the other person who has spent 2 lakh rupees per annum, 10 lakh rupees for a degree would not speak out. Cannot speak out. It's like it's understandable. So I guess it is important that it should become equitable. We should not go in the direction of privatization. It is going to deepen the social it is going to create a crisis in the society. It's not that it is an attack, I mean, on our realms of equality alone in terms of class. It is going to break apart the society totally, because we don't have education, if we don't have means of being in the world, obviously the society is going to, I mean, hit at each other. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. I believe we need to kind of have some breaks and checks and balances.
Thank you for elaborately sharing on this. Now, taking on like furthering this, uh, now, like right now, I can give a statement that no one can ignore Baba Sahib, like Dr.
Absolutely.
Ambedkar.
Yeah.
But when in the process of not ignoring Dr. Ambedkar, which is also an indicator that community, oppressed community or downtrodden communities in India have understood Baba Sahib's relevance in their life or in the existing society. Now they have understood. Now what I see, the people who want to de-Ambedkarite this community, they are doing everything which is very symbolic. For example, celebrating, for example, giving names. And the recent one which I really feel, if someone is listening, they should take notice of this, that putting portrait of Dr. Ambedkar and Bhagat Singh is not going to help any downtrodden this thing. If you want to really include something, don't include portraits, include these students or include these communities into schools, into education, or into any other government jobs which they deserve because of their constitutional right. I'm not saying do any favor or charity on them, give them their right. So and even like even the central government, they are creating like monuments, they are having buildings, they are having like celebrating this thing, but they are deconstitutionalizing every constitutional right of oppressed communities. So is this like side, like is this the reciprocation of counter attack by the dominant ideology or right wing ideology on the Ambedkar community, because they have educated and understood the relevance of Dr. Ambedkar? They want to keep it very shallow by engaging them in such like symbolic things, and not to ask questions which are very relevant for them, for example inclusion in jobs, or like deconstructing, privatizing and all that. So is this a counter thing, or is this like the thing which they already were doing for like long time, and right now they are doing it very like openly, because they have every like opportunity, or they have every power to do this, and these communities are silent because they feel they don't have any power or any this thing to negotiate with them. So now saying this context in this relation, what youths like us who have understood this politics of grammar of this politics, what role we have to actually come like first of all have the power of negotiating for our constitutional rights. Second, to like block the roadway of deconstitutionalizing India, because I feel it is our moral responsibility to safeguard our rights and the rights of the next generation, to have that sustainable inclusive development. In this on this juncture, I feel it's very important for people like us who have understood or who have capability of understanding this, how we should take forward the chariot of Dr. Ambedkar of educating, agitating, organizing our community to safeguard their own rights and safeguard the rights of oppressed and downtrodden communities.
I totally agree with you. It's like, no, I mean, in the sense that I guess there are two aspects to it. I mean, the political establishment now, whether it's the central government headed by the BJP, or the state government headed by Delhi state government headed by Aam Aadmi Party, or even for that matter, Congress governments that are there, they all kind of want to kind of have symbolism of, as far as Ambedkar is concerned. They want to have portraits of Ambedkar, but not to do any service to the community, not to move forward in the direction of social democracy. So they want to kind of have this symbolism everywhere, but to kind of avoid any possibility of a social democracy happening, any possibility of a social equality happening. And that's what we see constantly, actually. Like today, if we take the tweets, we have tweets from Modi, who said that I am kind of bowing my heads to Dada Saheb Ambedkar. We have got a tweet from Arvind Kejriwal, which says that, I mean, I've learned everything from Ambedkar. And then what do they do? That's the question that is there. If we take the track record in terms of doing, and I remember this attempt actually of renaming Ambedkar Institute of Technology into another name had happened when I was there in 2009 as well, when the Congress government was there. But there was huge pressure that was there from outside. They couldn't do it. Now, what Arvind Kejriwal government did is, in the pandemic, when everybody was sleeping, everybody was dying, everybody was, I mean, running around for oxygens, he very cleverly kind of changed the name actually. And then he puts out the tweet saying that I inspire my things from Ambedkar. So that's not what we want. So if we have to move forward, I believe what we need to do is that we'll have to organize and agitate in the manner Ambedkar had said. So we need to understand the grammar of the game that they are playing. As Ambedkarites, we'll need to kind of understand the grammar of the game. We'll have to change the grammar of the game itself. It's not that we play their game. One way is what they want is that they will kind of do this tokenism. They'll say that we'll allow scholarship for some Dalit students, or we'll allow scholarship for some uh, Adivasi students. So we'll get them up in the stream. And the moment a Dalit student or a Adivasi student gets the first rank or second rank, they'll advertise it saying that, I mean, see, a Dalit student has become the first in this thing. But they don't mean it actually. Now, the point here is that Dalit students should automatically be, because I mean, 25, I mean, if we have SC/ST, I mean, population in country to be, I mean, over 20%, it's a given thing that no, a Dalit student should automatically be first rank actually. What is the big deal in this one, right? It should be a natural thing. They should rather celebrate when a Brahmin student becomes the first actually, because Brahmin student is only part of this 2 or 3% of the country actually. So they're doing the reverse, and they're doing it as though they are doing a favor to us, actually. So we don't need that favor. So we have to change the grammar of the game, actually. And we have to tell that we will decide what has to be done and not you. And for that, we have to understand that it is a game that they're playing. It is not really that no, a system has broken into pieces or anything. It's a game that they're playing. And they're excluding us from the game to begin with. And when they know that they cannot exclude us, like now, they know that they cannot exclude Ambedkar anymore. It's not possible for them, right? Even with that thing in mind, I mean, with that thought in mind, I would like to say that Arvind Kejriwal still dared to do that. Actually, he renamed one Ambedkar college, so he's very daring in that sense. Probably no other political party in this country would have dared to do it, even to remove an Ambedkar statue, for that matter. And he silently dared to do that. Actually, so on one side is daring to do that, and the other side is trying to do this tokenism of saying that no, he is for the Dalit community, he is for Ambedkar, he is for Ambedkarites. No, he's not. So let's change the tone of the game. Actually, that's what I would say, and it's important for us. Let's take in the steps of Ambedkar, and that's the greatest part when I kind of read and listen to Ambedkar now. I'm seeing that Ambedkar, even towards the end of his career, if we take the speeches and the kind of vigor that he had towards the end of his life, when he was in his 60s, actually, it's incredible. Actually, he was still a youth then. The way he talks at that time, he used to talk to the system in such a manner that the system couldn't consume what he was saying. It was too heavy for them, actually. So we need to get back into that tone. That's what we should derive from Ambedkar, rather than just having his portraits. We should take his words and kind of do what he did and do what he used to do and organize and agitate along with educating. So that's what I believe is necessary for us.
This was very powerful. Actually, it made me to like remind like the audience or everyone who is watching this. The same thing happened in Maharashtra in 1978. They declared to give name rename Marathwada University Dr. Ambedkar University in 1978. Although there was like opposition by everyone, like although it was passed in house, it took 20 years, and 20 years Ambedkarite community struggled, or they fought, or they did everything, but they never gave back, because that was fresh initial stage of like someone says like from right wing that a dead Ambedkar is more dangerous than an alive Ambedkar. So that was the power of that Ambedkarite community. They struggled, they lost everything, just for the name. And that was power of that educating their minds by then. And when Joshil actually shared about like how powerful Ambedkar was in his late, I'm reminded to share his one of the prefix which he wrote while delivering his speech on Gandhi, like Ranade Gandhi and Jinnah, the lecture which he delivered in 1943. I would just read that. That is so powerful. I'll just read that
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
I quote, "No one can hope to make any effective remark upon his time and bring the aid that is worth bringing to great principles and struggling causes. If he is not strong in his love and his hatred, I hate injustice, tyranny, pompousness, and humbug, and my hatred embraces all those who are guilty of them. I want to tell my critics that I regard my feelings of hatred as a real force. They are only the reflex of the love I bear for the cause I believe in, and I am in no wise ashamed of it. For these reasons, I tender no apology for my critics of Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Jinnah, the two men who have brought India's political progress to a standstill. So we don't have that power to say that we are believing this, but yes, we have no regret to critics anyone who is not working on the cause of Dr. Ambedkar. And
Absolutely.
not working on the cause of Dr. Ambedkar means not giving the constitutional right which are deserved by every community. I'm not talking about only oppressed community or anyone, by
Yes.
everyone. They deserve
Yes.
all the constitutional rights in a democratic society to develop
Yeah.
in every manner.
Yeah.
So now I have last question for you. So at this juncture, should we be depressed, or should we like engage in this like all like on different forums like social media or every other this thing? Should we engage with all this, or should we engage with all these forces, or should we get depressed and sit quiet and like let it run, or let it take its own, like let the time decide its own chant like this thing? What suggestion do you have for everyone?
I guess we should fully engage, actually. We should totally engage. We should expose this game and we should set the rules for them to play, actually. I mean, the cricket should be played by us, not by them. We should not be kind of spectators of the game. We'll make the game, we'll play the game, and let them be spectators, actually. So that's what we should go towards. So we should engage in every way, I would say, I believe. There's no reason to be depressed. Let's kind of, because we have reached to the last ray of depression, actually.
Mm,
I would say that we should kill hope. I'll just elaborate that when I say that. We are always given this hope, actually, that
mm,
tomorrow something good will happen. We'll go to the court, we'll get something good from there. We go to the political parties, we'll get good something from there. We go to the government officials, we'll get something good from there. So we are always constantly feeded with this hope that no, don't agitate much, don't organize, don't do anything, just wait for the hope to kind of no get realized. It will come. That's what they say. So let's kill hope. Let's say it's the end of hope, and the end of
mm,
hope is going to be something that is radical, actually. That will be what Ambedkar wanted. That would be what Ambedkar dreamt of, actually. It's not keeping on hope. He never kept his hopes on uh, Congress to kind of deliver for the country. Despite the fact that he was the first law minister, he quit that, he got out, he got onto the streets, he fought. He didn't keep his hopes alive that no, well, I've done my bit, now let me relax and can no wait for things to happen. Let's also follow that same path. Let's can no kill hope. Let's not wait for hope to do things for us. Let's dream of things and no, let's build something that is radical, actually. So that's what I'd say. We should engage completely. Never be depressed. We have no reason to be depressed because we have been pushed to the bottom, actually, right?
mhm.
So, I mean, I would say that hope is the opium of the masses. So let's kind of shed hope. Let's have something bigger than hope, actually, better than hope. So let's not be depressed at all.
Thank you so much for this powerful remark and for spending time to discuss. I would like with this your powerful conclusion. I'm reminded of Dr. Ambedkar's last call. He says, and I would just conclude with that quoting Dr. Ambedkar. He says, I quote, "My final words of advice to you are educate, agitate, and organize. Have faith in yourself. With justice on our side, I do not see how we can lose our battle. The battle to me is a matter of joy. The battle in the fullest sense, spiritual. There is nothing material or social in it. For ours is a battle not for wealth or for power. It is a battle for freedom. It is a battle for reclaiming the human personality. So yes, let's kill the hope and let's fight for our own human personality or human dignity or reclaiming our human personality. Thank you so much, Joshil, for your time, and thank you so much, Meena, for giving us platform to discuss this and like representing our youth from our community. Thank you so much, Muknaik.
I also thank deepest thanks to Muknaik and Dada Sahib for making this happen. And I guess we should now get into action mode and we should do things on the ground. And I'm looking forward to that actually.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you.
Bye. Bye. Jai Bhim, everyone.
Jai Bhim.